what I want to speak to you about, I hope you guys have a notebook and a pen with you. If not, quickly go grab a notebook and a pen. I'm going to be speaking to you about the order in which the technologies you will be learning. Okay. I want to tell you how the next 4.5 months is going to be laid out. This is going to be our roadmap for the course. And if you have already spoken to me, if you've attended the webinar, and if you look at the terms that are involved, we speak about the career roadmap, or we say road to full stack developer. There is one thing that I want you to make a note of. Okay. I want you to make a note of this. Being a developer is never a destination. It is a journey. I want you to make a note of this. Being a developer is never a destination. It is always a journey. Because this particular field of IT is so vast, you cannot find one person who will say that, okay, I know everything. Your real technological education is going to start from today, and it's going to be now onwards, right? Have an open mindset. If you do not know something, it's absolutely okay. Everybody are learners here, right? You learn something, you adapt to it. It's, again, we have people from different backgrounds. That's absolutely okay. We've had also people from commerce backgrounds who are working as full stack developers at companies, right? So the background truly does not matter. It is what you're going to be doing from today is what is going to count. Okay. So if you have these thoughts where you feel that, okay, programming is not my cup of tea, that happens to most of them. I don't know programming. I'm not a good programmer. These are all the things that we keep telling ourselves. But try to avoid those kind of thoughts. Okay. Mindset is going to be very crucial. And then whatever is being taught to you, and follow it till the T, as in follow everything that is being taught to you and then put your hard work. You will find that the thing that we have created, it's basically a system, right? There's a system that I've created over a period of many years of training people only on full stack development, right? You become a part of the system starting from today. And by the time the course gets over, one thing I can assure you, right? As long as you are committed to the course, you work on the assignments that are given to you, you go through the video lectures and participate in the discussions, one thing that I can assure to you is each and every objective of you will be attained, right? Many of you want to be developers. Many of you want to connect the dots. You want to know the end-to-end system. All of that is going to happen. And that is the reason why you have to be a full stack developer, because you will know the end-to-end process of what goes into building an application. That is very, very crucial. If you just focus on front end, it's like knowing only half part of it. If you work on the back end, it's knowing only the half part of it. But if you know the full stack development, then you can take an idea and build that into an app. That is really, really powerful. It's like you go watching a movie and telling that, okay, you only watch the first half of the movie. It might be very exciting, but you cannot watch the second half. That's what happens if you're only a front-end developer. You can only do a part of it, not the entire thing. If you're a back-end developer, after the interval, you will watch the remaining part of the movie. But you're always curious as to what happened in the first half, right? So if you're a full-stack developer, you get to watch the entire picture. Awesome. So where do we start? Though this is a web development course, you will be surprised to know that, especially in the current set of things in the IT industry, you need to be a strong developer. In the past, let's say you are learning full stack development with me, let's say 5 years before, the kind of expertise companies looked for was very different to what companies look for now. In the past, they were looking at HTML and CSS for front end. But today, they will look for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, DOM, React, Ajax, Redux, multiple other things, right? Things have changed. The IT companies are also evolving. And you also know that we are living through unique time in human mankind. So the more valuable you become to an organization is when you have more knowledge, right? That's the way how you can attract companies to give you an opportunity to work for them. Got it? Cool. So we commence the course by starting off learning JavaScript. Now, this is a full stack JavaScript course, full stack web development using JavaScript. So what happens is JavaScript is broken down into different levels. You will start with level 1 of JavaScript. This focuses on strengthening your core programming skills. Now, as this is a professional course, we get people from various different backgrounds. Now, this course, if you are someone who has not done too much of programming in the past, right, the level 1, or if it has been like quite some time since you have written code, you will now be able to understand the programming concepts and start being in a position to write code. During this time, the general programming practices like what are variables, what are conditional statements, what are loops, why do we use functions, how to think logically. These are all the things that are going to be covered in level 1 of the course. So we're going to be starting from there. In level 2 part of the course, we're going to be focusing more from the concepts or advanced concepts that are available to us in JavaScript. Level 1 is general programming. In level 2, we focus more from JavaScript perspective. I would say 70% of JavaScript interview questions, right? Because if you look at a full stack interview, they ask you questions on JavaScript, they'll ask you on React, they'll ask you on Node. I would say 70% of JavaScript based interview questions is going to be asked to you from the topics that you're going to be learning in level 2 part of the course. All right. So you're going to be learning that in the level 2 part of the course. Again, for now, I don't want to go inside and talk to you about every single point that you're going to be learning, but you will experience it. You will learn it over the period of time. So that's absolutely okay. I just want to give you a roadmap, a clarity as to what is that you're going to be doing. After you finish level 1 and level 2 of JavaScript, you will be having your first JavaScript mock interview. So we will be also, as you know, there's also going to be interview preparations that we will be doing. Many a times, our students have told that after attending the mock interviews at the academy, when they faced the real interview, they were very confident. Why? Because they have worked on the feedback that we've given them. These are going to be one-on-one mock interviews that are going to be conducted. Always, as I told you, keep an open mind, have a growth mindset. Whenever we give you feedback, you start adapting those feedbacks. Okay, it's going to be for your good and for your careers. On completion of level 1 JavaScript, there is going to be an assessment. There is going to be a written test that's going to be conducted. Now, the reason why we have regular assessments and mock interviews is to ensure that we do not lose track and we do not procrastinate. How many of you procrastinate a lot? The meaning of procrastinate is thinking that you want to do something tomorrow, starting from Monday. Let this weekend get over. From next week, Monday, pakka, 7 o'clock, I will get up and I will start studying. That's a very common thing, right? Even I do it. Even I procrastinate. So the reason why we have these assessments and mock interviews is to ensure that there is no scope or there's no room for procrastination. That means you don't get delayed. You don't delay something for the future point in time. So you're up to date on a daily basis. No? To make any necessary course corrections, right? You're going in a wrong direction to come back on track. These are all the things that are going to be there. One thing, as you have seen, we always have a limited intake. We take around 15 to 20 people in a batch. The reason why we do that is so that we can get to know each other and we can work along with you to ensure that your objectives are met. You are going to be monitored. You are going to be mentored. You are going to be given feedback, and we are always there to help you out. right? Day to day, we monitor what progress you're making, and you will be given feedbacks as and when necessary. So you finish level 1, level 2. Level 1, there is a assessment, that is a test. Level 2, there is an assessment, that means to say there's a test, a written test, right? In fact, as we speak, our previous batch people are taking up the level 2 test. So they're writing their level 2 test as we speak. Then we're going to be learning about how JavaScript. So at this point of time, we have not gotten into any part of web development, but we are focusing more on being strong developers. Okay, good programming skills is going to be required. So there's going to be hundreds of assignments that are going to be solved to strengthen your programming skills. Now you might be thinking, okay, why is it important? Because sometimes your first technical round is a coding round. They will be asking you questions on looping over an array, doing conditional checks, right? Logical thinking. They're going to be testing logical thinking through programs. So at this point of time, any code that you're writing is to be written using plain JavaScript. So it's very important that you strengthen your concepts there. And not only that, you also have to keep in mind that React.js and node.js, the ones that is what is going to help you land a job, are nothing but JavaScript, or it is nothing but written using JavaScript. So that means to say, if you want to write good React.js code or good node.js code, you need to be a good JavaScript developer, right? So it has a lot of advantages. Many a times, probably you guys would have directly jumped to React because React is the hot technology. And sometimes you get stuck as to not knowing what exactly needs to be done. How many of you have directly tried to learn React skipping JavaScript? Right? You understand what's happening there, but if you have to do something by yourself, you're not sure what needs to be done. Anybody who tried to learn React without learning JavaScript? Awesome. All right, good. The next thing is you're going to be learning how, when you get into the section called as Intro to JS in the browser. Now, this is where you're going to be learning how JavaScript as a programming language is being applied in the real world in frontend, right? You will see how Facebook, Swiggy, YouTube, all these websites are making use of JavaScript on the front end. Here, you'll learn some really amazing stuff where how you can build dynamic web pages using JavaScript. You will learn how to connect to web servers to collect information from the user, or something as simple as if the user clicks a button, you can perform some kind of an operation. For example, let's say on an e-commerce store, I click on a button, add to cart. What happens? That particular product gets added to the cart. How is it done? All those kind of stuff you're going to be learning at this particular section. Next, you're going to be learning about the ES6 features. That is the new features that the language has to offer. This ES6 features is also going to get combined with JavaScript itself. Some of them you learn as and when you're going through the JavaScript course. Some of the extra features you will learn separately under the ES6 section. Now, this becomes the base for modern JavaScript programming. Okay, you need to keep in mind that JavaScript as a programming language has been in existence for the last 20 to 25 years. And if you think 1995, and if you see now, it's like almost 25 years, JavaScript has been in existence. But only after the invention of node.js or AngularJS or React.js, JavaScript has gained huge popularity in the market. Remember what I told you, every single company which is there work on JavaScript in their projects, because the front end, every company, backend, they might choose other technologies, but when it comes to front end, they must be using JavaScript. So that means to say, every single company that is there is a potential recruiter for you, right? The knowledge that you gain, objectives have to be met, no doubt. But at the end of the day, what do you want? You either want to land a job, or you want to transition in your career, or you want to grow in your career. It all boils down to these three things. If you look at all the audience present here today, you're a fresher, you're looking for a job, or you've graduated 1 or 2 years before, you're looking for a job. You're working as a developer for 1 or 2 years, but you want to transition into a developer job. You're working in the companies for many years, but you want to grow in your career. It all boils down to these three things, right? So JavaScript has that kind of a capability as to get you whatever you want. So in the year 2015, a lot of new features was introduced in JavaScript. What those features are going to be covered in the second section. That's going to be Es6 features. All right. And this also has a lot of weightage during interviews. One of the most frequently asked questions during the interviews are two things. One, they'll ask you, okay, what is the difference between varlet and const? The second thing, what are promises? Why are they used? Right? These are the most frequently asked questions. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is, why do companies ask these questions? Because these concepts are used on a day-to-day basis in projects that they will be working on. Or these concepts are to be used by you as a developer in the projects at companies. That is the reason they will ask you on the core things as to, okay, tell me, how do you do this? Where have you used this? Knowing things theoretically is not going to be sufficient. I want you to tell you guys this. You need to know how these are practically applied, right? How you can implement it practically, and also be in a position to identify and implement how these things are done in the real world. That is very, very crucial. Practical exposure to these topics is going to be very, very crucial. That's how a company is going to differentiate between a person who says he knows full stack to a person who's really a full stack developer. Okay. Next, we're going to be learning HTML and CSS. We're going to be learning the basics of HTML and CSS, right? And I'm sure many of you would have already done a little bit of self-learning in HTML and CSS. How many of you are not aware of HTML and CSS in this particular group? I would like you to message me if you are not aware or you have not done HTML and CSS in the past. Right? This is something that everybody would have studied or did a little bit of self-learning, but we'll still be doing the basics of it, which is required. Okay, good. Now, predominantly, we're going to be focusing more from the programming standpoint. Remember, as I told you, if you want to do any modern development, you need to have strong programming skills, right? So there's going to be a lot of JavaScript that we're going to be writing over the next 4.5 months. So after that, we're going to be focusing on React.js. All right. So we would have finished JavaScript, ES6, and then we would have our JavaScript interview prep, right? There's going to be JavaScript mock interviews that are conducted. Then what we do is we get into the React.js part. Now, this is the main thing people are looking forward to, right? If you look at any of the job postings that is there, you're expected to know React Redux. But you know what? We are not going to get here till around 45 days to 50 days of our course. Or 45 days of our course, we don't get to React. Because everything that there is with React is nothing but a combination of JavaScript, ES6, and concepts of HTML. So once we are strong with this, this becomes much easier. Now, one thing I would like to mention till now is during this time, there are a lot of assignments that are going to be given focusing on two main areas. So the first area is going to be to strengthen your development skills. Assignments are focused and given to you in strengthening your development skills and interview preparation skills. So both we keep in mind, right? We don't do projects right from day one. There's no point in doing projects without having a strong foundation of knowledge and concepts. Yes or no? Yeah. So that's what happens during this time. During React.js, as you can see, we have broken it down into level 1 and level 2. So you're going to be learning the fundamental concepts of React, right? There are around 25 to 30 different concepts of React you're supposed to be doing. And around this time, there's going to be again around 50 to 60 assignments just focused on strengthening your React.js skills. And I'm sure those of you who have gone through our background, where you've read reviews that has been written by other students, all of them have focused on a couple of things. They said the assignments were very useful for us, and the mock interviews helped us prepare well for the. Yes, have you seen that? The assignments that are going to be given to you during the time of React is going to be aligned to small features in real applications. Right, small features you'll keep building, which you will see on a real world website. Those kind of features you will start to build. Then in level 2 we go deeper into React. Right, we go deeper into React and understand how to perform a lot of advanced stuff using React.js. Along with this, you're also going to be learning something called as Redux. Okay, make a note of it, underline this, because today in the industry, you are identified as a React developer only if you have a strong knowledge of Redux. Redux is advanced, it's very advanced topic. We will cover that here as part of the course. So a person is identified as a React developer only if he has a strong knowledge of Redux. It is going to happen something like this. During your interviews, the first question the companies will ask you is, do you know Redux? If your answer is yes, then they will ask you, okay, tell me your name. If your answer is no, they will say, okay, thank you very much. They'll not even bother asking your name. Why? Because any enterprise application, large scale project requires the implementation of Redux. It is now an industry standard. Now, guess what? If the company is doing a small project or a hobby project, now you ask yourself, why will the company hire developers to build their software? We are building something big, something like Swiggy, right? It's such a big application, thousands and millions of users accessing that particular application. It's very complex. For that, they hire developers. And for those kind of complex projects, Redux is important. So what happens here is you're going to be doing projects both with Redux and without Redux. Both projects you will be doing to understand how it is done without Redux and how you can enhance this format of your application with the implementation of Redux. Okay, so it's pretty awesome. And after completion of React.js, there is going to be a written test, no doubt. Following that, there's also going to be mock interviews. Right, a lot of people say the mock interviews, the more prepared you are at the mock interviews that are conducted at the academy, the better you're prepared to face the real world. And students come back and tell us this, sir, the mocks at the institute was harder than the real mock interview that the company asked. The reason, because we set the expectation of our students here. This is where we set the expectation of our students. The expectation of a company of a candidate is here. Now you see, if you're able to reach our expectation, reaching company's expectation is not going to be hard, right? So you prepare well and get the job. Cool. So after completion of React.js, then we get into the next part of our course. So all of this is going to be focused on the front end part of our course. Then we enter the backend part of the course, which is backend and the database. How many of you have not seen the introductory video that Jyoti ma'am has shared, or who have not attended the webinar? I want you to type me. If you're someone who's not attended the webinar, nor have you gone through the entire video Jyoti ma'am has shared. Okay, awesome. So I believe that all of you have seen that video where I've explained, but you've been a part of the webinar within. As long as you're part of the webinar or the video, that should be okay. People who have done neither of it, anybody present here? No? Okay, very good. So I'm sure you guys have gone through this particular series to understand what is full stack, what are the technologies involved, what is front end, back end, and database. If you have not, after the session is over, I wanted to speak to Jyoti ma'am and get that particular video and go through it, please. Cool. So we then move into the backend part of our course. That's going to be node.js. So here again, it's broken down into different levels, right? And there's going to be an introduction of what is node.js. Then there's going to be a level 1 of node.js with an implementation of something called as Express. It's a web framework. So we do that there. This project, assignments and projects, is going to be done without a database. In the next level, you're going to be learning how to implement Express.js with MongoDB database, right? So you're going to learn both connections of web framework as well as the database. And also you have your backend projects. So overall, during the course, there are going to be 5 different projects that you're going to be working on. 4 is going to be done as part of the course, where I'll be teaching you concepts and I'll help you implement those concepts in projects, right? So those are going to be the 4 projects that you're going to be doing as part of the course. So all the things that are required for building a software, I'm going to be teaching you through the course, and then I'll make you work on them in projects. After the completion of backend, you will be working on a full stack project, which is going to be your portfolio project. That is the main project that you're going to be showcasing to companies, right? Because these 4 projects are the same for all the people, right? You can still showcase it on your resume. People do that. Students showcase that on their resume because it is real world projects. It will hold value. It has weightage. Apart from that, you will have to work on your own portfolio project. So for that, all the guidance, support, everything we will be providing to you. But anyway, when the time comes, I'm going to explain how you're going to be going ahead in building your portfolio project. Now, what is the importance of this particular portfolio project? This is a time where you can practically implement by yourself the knowledge that you've gained over the years or over the months. Right? The things that you've learned in the 4 months, you'll be able to start implementing it in your own projects. Another thing that's going to happen is, imagine like 3-4 people go for an interview and all of you put the same project. The company will be like, okay, what is this, man? I don't see any kind of uniqueness in you. Why should I hire? But what you're supposed to be doing is, these are the projects that you'll showcase, right? As the projects that you implemented while you learn the technology. And then with the knowledge that you've gained, this is the main project that you've done. That is how you'll have to showcase, right? You will also get to learn on your own projects. In fact, you'll be surprised to know people who have taken this part seriously, they have also gone to an extent of starting their own companies. Yes, you'll also meet the alumni members who are actually, they've started their own companies. They have customers all over the world, right? You will also get the chance to meet them. Cool. After that is over, after Node.js is over, there's going to be Node.js interview preparations that is going to happen, right? There's going to be a written test. There's going to be interview preparations, a lot of assignments and stuff that's going to happen. Then there's going to be the full stack project that you're going to be doing. Yeah. And then there's going to be also mocks around your full stack projects, right? To be in a position to explain, because in an interview, the company might ask, okay, can you explain your project, right? Why did you choose your project? What are the technologies that you've used? All those things you should be in a position to express. So that is going to be there. So apart from this, right? Apart from this, you can see it's going to be a jam-packed session. You have to invest your time and efforts into this particular course. There's also going to be towards the end, right? Towards the end, there's also going to be resume preparations, because you have to keep in mind that today your resume or your future is decided in only 5 seconds to 10 seconds max. All your years of education, right? Around 15 years you have studied, 4 years of engineering, some including master, 6 years you would have studied. And now you're studying this for 4.5 months. Now your entire education is in the hands of an HR who will decide your future in 5 to 10 seconds. Do you think our career should be dependent in, or should be decided in 5 to 10 seconds? Do you think that is how it should be done? I just want to know your opinion. Yes or no? No, right? But the reality is that we should accept that reality. And also now, because of the current pandemic situation and all the things that are happening, HRs are getting so much of resumes, right? They do not have time to scan. So having a good resume that will grab the attention, right? That will grab the attention and give you an interview call. You need to have a resume prepared in a certain way, in a certain manner. So we're going to help you with those resume preparations as well, right? So as we speak, a lot of your seniors are attending interviews at different companies, right? Getting that interview call is the most crucial thing, because we know that people who get the interview calls, having gone through so much of preparation, clearing those interviews is not going to be hard, but getting those calls are going to be a challenging thing. But anyway, we have a lot more time to get there. First important thing is we need to be strong in all these things before we think about. Then we'll also be having sessions on GitHub profile, right? You need to have a strong GitHub profile where you showcase. This is a place where you're going to be showcasing your projects to companies. So I think I've shown you a couple of GitHub profiles, right, as to how it needs to be designed. So this is how a GitHub profile should be prepared. So this is one of our students from our previous batch. Okay, he's a mechanical engineer, 2018 passed out, mechanical engineer from UVCE, right? But today he's working as a full stack developer in a company. Now he could have thought, right? Oh, I'm a mechanical engineer. Will I be in a position to start an opportunity? No, that's not like that. It all depends on the way you have worked on your projects, and you have to showcase the projects that you've done. Now, where will you showcase your projects? It has to be on this particular platform called as GitHub. How many of you have a GitHub profile? How many of you have a GitHub profile? You do? Very good. Very good. You should showcase the projects there. And remember, I was telling you about having the projects being displayed to companies. This is his portfolio project. It's called as the Crux Station. These are the different projects that he's done as part of the course. So course projects should also be displayed. Also, your main project has to be displayed, right? So what happens to the company? The company can now go see the project that you've done, right? They can see the entire code. They can look at the overview of it. They can read all the technologies that have been used in the project, right? So this gives them confidence. Okay, this particular candidate knows all these things. And then having a live demo, you'll also learn how to deploy and make your software live, because it'll add more weightage. And then you have to mention about all the features that your project has. Now, this is how a good GitHub profile should be created, right? This is how a good GitHub profile should be created and needs to be shown. Okay, more on this. Again, you're going to be learning. And then there's also going to be LinkedIn, like how to have a good LinkedIn presence. Of course, finally, there's also going to be placement assistance that we provide, right? What is the criteria? There are some criteria for it. Your education background, the marks that you have scored is not the criteria. Okay, your education background and the marks that you have scored is not the criteria. The criteria for getting placement assistance from us is going to be completion of your assignments, completion of all your projects, right? And then ensuring that you keep all these things ready. Then we help people send resumes. We send resumes across to different companies where the interviews are going to be conducted, right? So that's how things are going to be done. Cool. So I hope this has given you a clarity and a picture as to what to expect in the next 4.5 months. How many of you are excited to start this journey? I want you to type excited if you're excited in learning all these things and starting your journey.